Day 1175 days since Richard vanished from the barracks there at Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas. And we have breaking news that just came in. It made me a little bit late here. Well worth it. Thank you so much. We'll burn the midnight oil again because we will climb any mountain and follow any stream, go down any valley. I hope I'm saying that right. Go down any canyon, um, to find out what happened to our son, right? And from the very beginning, my husband and I were talking just a few minutes ago, and he said they just wanted us to go away. They did everything to just make us go away, and They sent people to make us go away, to mislead us, to frustrate us, to give us false narratives, to smear our son in front of us, to just block us, to obstruct justice, to deny us due process, to not answer our questions, or absolutely tell us lies, withhold information. Withholding information, staying silent is, you know, we are a country of transparency because if we don't have transparency, then they can rule over us. We're just a nation then of slaves if they can hide things from us and withhold information from us. And, Richard was brutally murdered, dismembered. It was a code red. The leadership absolutely knew. I'm not saying seemingly, I'm not saying apparently, I'm saying this is what happened. This is absolutely what happened to uh, a whistleblower with a moral backbone at a very young age. I mean, amazing that he had that courage at 20 years old because, when he went missing in July, he had just turned 21. So all of this happened when he was 19 and 20 years old. And it was just to go through the code retaliation, to go through the the setup um, to try to make him a criminal, to try to discredit him as a whistleblower, as a witness to what he had seen, to what he knew. And he said to me, "It's very bad, Mom. It's so bad. And I do not want to be an NCO. Of course not. With with NCOs like Jerry Jakovitz as a command sergeant major, who would want to be an NCO? With an NCO like Jay Paulin, who an NCO, he was a first sergeant, and what? I mean, who would want to be an NCO with that kind of first sergeant? With a first sergeant like Michael Ruggiero, who would want to be who would want to be an NCO with Gabriel um, Orona, right? Who would want to go forward with NCOs like this? And I'm going to defend them a little bit. I'm going to defend them just a little bit here because we have a long history of criminal bullying and a manufactured criminal syndicate. I just want to call them criminal bullies, but they're more than that. They're seasoned criminal bullies. That's what they are. I don't even syndicate sounds too good for them, right? It just sounds too good for them. These are, and I should go on Facebook to make sure, and I'll explain myself. Um, see, once I get on here, make sure that I'm on. We have, yeah, uh, and I posted it up. this seasoned criminal bullies, this group that are just out to get our military, out to get them. How do I mean? They want, they target the gravy train. They they target the trust, the the goodness of the people of the United States in their government to give us a competitive military that no one can match, right? That's what we've been told. And so, we absolutely let them tax us, even with hidden taxes. Uh, Sometimes the vote is skewed or there's no vote at all, just like with the whole Ukraine thing. There was never a call to get the president in to explain his position on Ukraine for Ukraine funding. I think it's way over 110 billion dollars that we don't have. And now it's all like, oh, forget that. Let's just focus on Israel. Let's focus on Iran. Let's put our sons and daughters there in Iran, who's backed by Russia. They're just, and there's no trust in our leadership right now. They just missed their recruiting mark again. The military did. Why? Because there's no trust, no respect in the leadership, because we have these criminal bullies that target our military installations, and they are seasoned. They have surrounded our military installations. They know the system. They target, they prey on our military, and they're up to no good. And they're bringing in the fentanyl, they're bringing in the drugs into our military. They are establishing, uh, you know, people like Thomas Kane as a director of emergency services. So they have an in, and it's like, hey, Tom, we're doing our dirty deeds right now, so you need to hide those surveillance footage, CCTV, or turn those off in this area so we can do our dirty deeds, so that we can perpetrate our misery on the military, on the service member, on the service members' families, on on the American people and all the community around El Paso, and even into Juarez, Mexico. Okay, and so they've done that, because they've put people in the place of the VA, and it's like, hey, NCO, you give me a favor, or I'll let you have some time with my wife, or I'm gonna give you some training, some coaching, how you can get a really high score, maybe 100% on your veterans disability benefits. So just to these are very seasoned bullies. You don't even know that they're bullying you, right? You don't know that they're destroying you. You don't know that they're taking away your honor and integrity and everything, that they're entrapping you. And what they want is their gravy train, right? They want their gravy train, be it on criminal activities like smuggling the weapons that they didn't pay for. The American people paid for them. But they take liberty to take these weapons and have their gunsmiths maybe shave off some numbers or whatever. I don't know. I know there's a gunsmith involved in this, and I know that they're up to no good with our weapons, with our ammunition, with our equipment, and it gets smuggled out, and they make a mint off of the taxpayers, off of our military, off of our service members, because not only does all of that suffer, right? All of that suffers. They sabotage our military, right? But they also take the honor away from people. They take their integrity away from. They take trust away because they are targeting, our leaders, or they place the people in their little bully cult group into leadership roles, and it has just. I mean, they've so infiltrated our system, and they surround our military bases, and they are bringing down communities, absolutely communities, and the economy of our communities, because then you need huge bonds to pass to pay for taking care of all this criminal activity, right? Um, and so then your taxes go way up, your property taxes go way up. It, it's just there's so many facets to their destruction: mental, physical health, uh, the economy, the army readiness or the military readiness. And look, they feed us this narrative like we're just ready to go fight Iran and then Russia on top of it, because some other country that we have armed totally could absolutely, they can fight their own wars. Um, and they think that we're ready when there's no trust, no esprit de corps. My dad said that over and over again. No esprit de corps. They sell out their soul to get disability check. So there's no, and the soldiers that are in the military looking up to these people doing these things, like, think about Fort Bliss under the command of Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe. They were, either they were on his side or they were like, what the heck is he doing? I know Dallas Hart. I know Delta Battery 143. I know Richard Halliday. I know what's going on. And, there's 14-year-old girls being brought in, being prostituted out while living in the barracks. We have soldiers having their grog parties while they're in the field doing their military exercises with this equipment, and getting poisoned by the grog because they're drinking their boozy grog out of a sealant that has antifreeze in it and they didn't clean it out. And antifreeze, there goes 11 soldiers, boom. And I bet you some of them had to get out, because you can't recover from drinking antifreeze so easily. You know what I mean? It damages you. It damages you. And then he's telling these poor parents that they take underage drinking seriously, when so many of those 11 were underage. And some of them were, one of them was a warrant officer. Some of them were NCOs. I mean, can you believe it? And they did not release the names because they don't want to be transparent, because the transparency shows what is really going on. What is really going on. It tells the truth. And so we've had to, wade through these weaves of deception, of lies. Lies are deception, but sometimes deception can be manipulation of truths. And all of these distractions, we've had to wade through them all, right? These little traps and everything that they've absolutely put out for us, to try to figure out what is the truth and what is not the truth. And I'm going to tell you, the truth is definitely, we have enough truth for a jury to convict Dallas Hart. Okay? And the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Dallas Hart is the prime suspect in the murder of Richard Halliday. We have enough for a jury to convict him. I'm not at liberty to say more. I wish I could say more, but I'm not at liberty to say more. I can tell you about Leilani Hart that we received even more of her criminal history. We, of course, I gave all of that out about Hawaii. I gave you her criminal record number, the case numbers for Hawaii when she became a convicted criminal. And why do I spend a lot of time on that? Because I want to tell you about her nature. Her nature. It's in her nature to be and to take advantage, to be part of this seasoned bully cult group that targets the gravy train of military installations. Okay? And it doesn't matter who gets in their way. So this reminds me of not too long ago, just a few weeks ago, I was in a Dillard's with my mother, with my daughter, with my grandchildren, 4 generations. We were there. We're having a great day, great time out, and we were in Dillard's, and this man came in, big man. He was at least 6'3". I would say 6'3". We were witnesses to what happened. He went into the purses department. He put Gucci bags, I'm not joking, 5 or 6 on each arm. 5 or 6, maybe more. Maybe it was 10 on each arm. His arms were like this, full of Gucci bags. Or were they Coach? Maybe they were Coach bags. I think they were Coach bags. Sorry. They were Coach. They were very, very expensive. Each bag, the lady at the counter told me, because we were very shaken up during the whole thing, she was very shaken up, and she had seen it multiple times, and it didn't get better for her. And that's what I'm saying. This crime harms you mentally, right? Because you're just waiting. When is the next time? And is it going to go so smooth, right? Are they going to just be able to run away, or is someone ever going to try to stop them? And then something else might happen that's not good, right? Stopping him would be good, but this was a madman. I'm telling you, he was a big guy with all those on his arms, both arms. I was a witness to it. My mother was a witness to it. My daughter was a witness to it. And they started screaming. The women at the perfume counters, the makeup counters, they started screaming when he started running through the store. They were trying to stop him, telling someone to stop him. And absolutely, it crossed my mind. The first reaction, and I don't think it would have happened 3 years ago. I don't know. But I am so sick and tired of these criminals getting away with hurting us. And I don't care if it's economically. They're hurting us economically, which hurts people's lives. It makes people, when you cannot make your payments, you're not a happy person. And sometimes it makes you mean. It makes you very mean. It makes you very grumpy. And so then other things might happen. Or you might get so desperate that you consider doing crime. So yes, economic crime has to be stopped. Has to be stopped. Because it leads to very violent crime. And he would have been violent. I can tell you that right now, because nothing was going to stop him. And, this was like less than a second. I was like, okay, let me just go and throw my body on the ground, and he will trip. And that will give, because see, the thing that they were screaming was, do not let him leave. Do not let him leave. Because as soon as he crosses the Dillard's threshold out into the mall, the Dillard's security guard is not allowed to do anything. And I probably shouldn't say that on live because these criminals know it, but the criminals know it. And so they were screaming, do not let him leave. Stop him. Right? And, so I was like, okay, I'm going to throw my body down and trip him, with all these purses in his arms. But there was a counter. And I couldn't make it around that counter quick enough because he was so fast. And he was leaping. I'm not joking. He was leaping. And it was so, then that was the immediate response. We were so shaken up. And, my grandsons are, my granddaughter's too small, but my grandsons are just like, what happened? What was he doing? It was such a terrible thing. So, we're just, at this point, we're so sick of the likes of Leilani Hart. We're so sick of her. Y'all, she makes friends with the CID and then destroys them. Tavita Nusa lost his badge. He was removed from the army, right? She even targets other CID. And then she targets people that are connections in the law. Connections in the law, high connections in the law. She targets them. How does she weave her web and, tries to manipulate them or tries to blackmail them or whatever? Because I'm looking at two cases right now. I can tell you a Jessica and a Wendy. Okay, I can tell you that. A Jessica and a Wendy. And I'm like, looking at their position, they are in positions that need to be tried, just like James Hart's position, right? He being on the board of IDS Pueblo to determine, to look through service members, veterans, records, and determine what kind of disability benefits they should get. I mean, sensitive, that needs to be trusted, because that's entrusting him with the Americans' taxes. And we want our tax money to be used properly. But these people like James Hart, who has a nature to be a seasoned criminal, okay? And Leilani Hart, a nature, her definitely, because her record is every year since the 1990s, and no one has gotten sick and tired of her and put her in the slammer. I don't understand it. Because her son, we have enough evidence. She can have a Dallas Cowboy shrine in her house, and she can worship this shrine or whatever, and love her son that plays football. But look, I love my son too. And she can't just let her son murder my son and cover it up. because, you know, and I there's enough evidence for any jury that is thinking clearly to convict Dallas Hart. And it's not just for taking Richard's life. It's all the lies and cover up and the targeting of the community of Fort Bliss, the targeting of the community of El Paso, making them pay these taxes for this cover up, making the service members afraid, making them shake, making them have no trust in the leadership, because they didn't want another Vanessa Guillen situation. And as far as not that they didn't want another Vanessa Guillen situation as far as a crime, they're willing to let the crime happen. They're willing to let our service members be dismembered. They're willing to let them be robbed and targeted with illegal drugs in the barracks, with rape and harassment. Not one program is a success in the military, okay? Not one of their programs is a success. The PTSD program is a failure. The suicide prevention is a failure. The sexual harassment and assault is a failure. Not one program. And Afghanistan's a failure. And the way they were training and leading, and $110+ billion to Ukraine, and it's a failure. It's a failure. So even our just sending our fancy weapons and ammunition can't bring victory. When are they going to learn that that's not what brings victory? Letting these criminals do their thing, or having their little jobs in their high places where they can, and they're trusted. I shouldn't say high places, in their entrusted positions. And they betray us. That's what happened at Fort Bliss. They've betrayed us. And we're finding out that it's more local than what we thought, because DC now is giving us support, institutional support. And so that is something we really need to pray for. That is something we need to celebrate. But we can't relax, because we still don't have Richard's remains. The knocks on the door are coming. And so those that want to side, those that are on Fort Bliss, that know that Pearl Mercedes, we all know the Pearl Mercedes, we all know, what football players drive, celebrated football players drive, especially when the mom has a shrine to Dallas Cowboys and your name, wow, she even names her son Dallas. And I don't mean to get this way. This is 3 years. 3 years of being very patient. And I'm looking at decades, every year, more than one criminal history record for Leilani Hart. This could all have been prevented. Okay? This could have all been prevented. And now her son's alibi has crumbled. And, what are the institutions going to do? What are they going to do? Because they cannot say they did not know that Leilani Hart was a convicted criminal. What is the media? What is Kacherga going to do? Is she going to call and apologize and say, oh my gosh, I was interfering with your son's case? Leilani Hart is a mega seasoned. It's in her nature to be a criminal, because you're not a criminal month after month after month after month for decades, and it's not in your nature to do it and to be it. And the leadership and the media is allowing her, even in, this is 2023, March 20th, 2023. Assault. Assault. Yeah. So we'll go through all of this information that we received and talk about it tomorrow some more, because what are they going to do? Because they're obstructing justice in our son's case, and we have all the evidence that they're obstructing justice in our son's case. And because Team Fine Richard Halliday are law abiding, we stand out on the corner and rally and pass out prayer candles, because we know God's in control, and God is not about revolution. God is about regeneration, not about revolution. Revolution is so violent. God is about regeneration, the changing of the hearts and the souls and the minds of the people towards Him, to the freedom of His law word, His very medium-sized book. Anyone can read it, and that's what He's about. And He's in control of this, and Team Fine Richard Halliday is totally patient. Totally patient. If God is long-suffering with us, we are with Him too, right? It's long-suffering. It's not just long laziness. We are working hard, and the truth is coming up. And I was told that the analogy of Ireland, being in Ireland, working in our garden, working on our property, building our stone walls, and we did, because the stones just grow in Ireland. They just grow. And you will see farmers, they're so professional. They're professional stone picker-uppers out of the field. They have their tractors with their attachment on it, the box on it, and they go out there and they pick up the stones. And that's why Ireland has so many stone walls, because they have to clear their field all the time, because the stones grow in Ireland. And that's how the truth comes out. You can't stop it. The truth grows. And in God's time, he just reveals everything, and everything is exposed. And you got to stand on the rock, right? You got to stand on the stone that broke the clay feet. So you just thank you for being so patient. And I wanted to tell you that our research, before we got this kind of breaking news, we had other breaking news about the family connections that I think it was probably 2 years ago now, that I got on live, and I said, oh my gosh, there's a connection. There's a connection between Belin's family, Danae, and Danae's family. And y'all, it's even more than that. It's more than that because these are the same people. They're all connected and they're involved in. We discovered another very big case. Very big case. And it's the same people. And even the prosecutor is the same. And so they target the gravy train. And they take advantage of the very people that have entrusted them to their positions. They have betrayed us. And they are seasoned. It's a seasoned group. And I want to call it seasoned bullies because they're bullies. I'm telling you from experience, 3 months of being bullied, vile, vulgar messages, and they did not even stop then. The bullying when we got there, the bullying of manipulation, the bullying of this group that's even like cult-like because it's so sexual. I can't even tell you. I'm not at liberty to share some of the vile, vulgar. And it is, it's so polluting to Fort Bliss, so polluting to the soldiers that get stationed there, the service people that get stationed there, the family members of the service members that get stationed there. It's so polluting to the governance of that area. I mean, the way they conduct themselves. It's so bad. They're working outside of the law. Thomas Kane himself, who has been even admitted that the JAG was working outside of the law, that he absolutely knew Richard was dead. He absolutely knew that he was dead. He even has more information. And Ogle, absolutely, you can't be that close to someone and not know something's going on. And Richard, and you can't be so close to Park University. Park University has been polluted. The VA has been polluted. JAG has been polluted. The MPs were being polluted, weren't they? Through the guard mount. They were being polluted by these seasoned bullies that target the gravy train of military installations. In this case, it was Fort Bliss. And it pollutes then the community of El Paso and the greater community of El Paso going into New Mexico and also to Juarez, Mexico. Because don't forget that Juarez is a Siamese sister to El Paso. They're connected. Yes, there is fencing, a little wall, some wall, rightfully so, dividing the two countries, giving authority, saying authority to the Mexicans belong in Chihuahua and authorities to America belongs in New Mexico and Texas and in the United States. This is rightfully so. It's a different government. There is a division. Thank God, because division means more accountability. That's why we have counties or parishes, right? That's why we have Delta Battery and Alpha Battery. And, we divide because we have oversight then. We can manage, we can govern. That's the purpose of it, but now it's been polluted. And around most of Fort Bliss are fencing because El Paso has a government, and then Fort Bliss, a different government. It's a different, what do they say? Um, Richard is in no one's jurisdiction, right? That's what they told us. Richard is in no one's jurisdiction. I'm like, okay, what are we going to do? We're going to have to go online and bring him to the broader populace and say, hey, a soldier is missing and the army threw him out. He's in no one's jurisdiction. Who will help us? Does anybody know? Does anybody know? Because they already knew that he was dead, that he had been murdered, that he had been code redded, that he had been a retaliated whistleblower, severely retaliated. They were embarrassed. They knew they had committed crimes all through those months against Richard, against his name, against his civil rights, against being a soldier, against their own duty. They knew they were criminal bullies in cult form. And so, let's just throw them out. Let's wash our hands of it quick, quick, quick. And we can get away with it. They want to get away with hurting our country, our military readiness, the community of El Paso. And so we're very grateful to those that have stuck with us, that have shared, because you have to understand, I'm talking about our media being polluted, because a clean media, a media that actually did their duty, would feature this story. They would be featuring this story to help us find out what happened to Richard, get justice for Richard, help us find his remains. They would help us. But the media has been polluted. That's how far gone we are. And I will tell you, because of being from a German background, my mother being born in Germany, becoming an American citizen at White Sands Missile Range, New Mexico, where I was born. But traveling back to visit my grandmother and being, hearing about the war. I was born in 1965, so, hearing about the reconstruction of Germany, about the war, about what happened. My grandfather was killed, right, in the Russian front, buried in a mass grave. Getting those explanations from and of course my father being also from German ancestry. Of course, my grandparents immigrated to the United States to get away from the Dritte Reich. So he just had some distant some relatives over there, but not my grandparents. But to hear their stories, what happened, I will tell you this. You can be far gone and turn on a dime. Turn on a dime. There is hope. There is hope. And I think that's my message today, is through these 3 years, yes, there's been so many obstacles and people have come and gone, right? Absolutely. I mean, 3 years, come on, people have to get on with things. And we don't hold a grudge at all. We don't hold a grudge. We don't hold a grudge against Sammy C for, just splitting, wanting to go do some other things. It's okay. 3 years is a long time. So but we have, this is our son. We have a duty. over and beyond. So there is hope. And, to get institutional help from DC and then to get the writing help that we have received lately is wonderful. Absolutely wonderful, because we've had to write so many letters, so many. So to get that kind of uh, apparatus service, okay, uh, you know, technology. I've always been like fond of technology. When I was a young girl, I learned MS DOS. I think I was 16 when I learned MS DOS. That was before Windows came into being. It was, I worked at a granary where the computer was, had the big reels. Anyway, so it was so exciting to get MS DOS, right? And so I want to tell you, there's hope if the German people can go through what they went through twice. World War One, and then the continuation of World War One was World War Two. Um, if they could go through that and turn on a dime, and it was horrible what happened. I don't think we're that far gone. So I think we have a real chance. And to see the institutional help come even before the media, because we've been waiting for the media, of course. We've been waiting for the whole narrative to change, that they can't ignore it any longer. And maybe we haven't, I don't know. We have so much. Oh my gosh. We have enough to convict a person of doing harm to our son. That should be front and center story after 3 years. After 3 years. And we know that CID, Richard being a CID intern, that should be front and center story. That the CID was covering up for themselves, covering up for Tavita Nusa. Well, Tavita Nusa was covering up for himself because, what was he tampering with our son's files? Things that Richard was reporting in the CID. Um, yeah. So was he reporting on some things that the gunsmith was doing? Was he reporting on the cult like activities with her children? Because we know that Dallas Hart, look at Dallas Hart as a officer in the United States Army has a duty to self report. Like Richard self report, he also has to, right? Um, Dallas Hart's self reporting was much, much more serious because it was about the torture of children. It was about child pornography, looking for child pornography, and um, not reporting to his chain of command that his mother was texting him, challenging him on this child pornography. Okay, about the incest, really, about the incest. Um, yeah, he has to report that this is going on. And, where are the arrests for her? Right? Because he's like, oh, she's just crazy. She's just crazy. She's just a liar. And she does have a history of lying. She has a history of lying to the media. She has a history of lying to the law enforcement authorities. So where are the arrests? And what is a lie and what is not a lie? Because it is just one big mess, and they've got to sort it out. They have to sort it out. And in the meantime, for decades, she's been allowed to pollute and to target uh, very, well, let's just say that those that got these jobs in affluent positions, in positions of power, and she would target them. And what would she do to get their service, to get their allegiance? And is that why? Does she have so, I mean, what's on those videos? What's on those child porn videos? What is she involved in that? And does she have blackmail material? Because I'm just wondering how she can have so much power that she's not arrested yet. Because let me tell you, if any of us out there did an assault on a certain person, right, we would be in bad trouble. And we would be scared into not doing anything again. But, she has it every year, and sometimes multiple times a year. She's in these major criminal troubles. And nothing has happened. And she's allowed to just run over our communities and our military installations with that, and to obstruct the justice of a family trying to look for their son's remains at this point. Which is, a needle in a haystack. We've been told you'll never find. But, The Princess and the Pea, that was a good story. They try to hide a pea, but, God will reveal it somehow, some way. We're going to find our son, because we believe that they already found him. They have his remains. And we're going to get justice, and we're going to get the accountability. And think about it, Danae being connected to Belen, and it's way more than that. Way more than that. Way more, y'all. And, for Park University and for CID and just the jobs that are offered to certain people that they can contribute to polluting, not because they're apt in their know-how or skills, but because they will go along with the targeting of the military installation for the gravy train. Yeah. It's just, people think, and I think they're starting to realize this, and it's really going to come true, especially with this war talk. You better go put some gas in your car, because normally when there's this kind of big war talk, gas goes way up, and that's going to affect inflation even more, and the prices are going to go up, and then they'll probably have quantitative easing, or maybe they'll send you a little check in the mail, because they're like, oh, we took billions, but we'll give you maybe a $10 bill. Um, you know, They'll send you a little token, but what they're doing is they're destroying the currency. They're destroying the currency. And then money becomes nothing, right? Money becomes nothing. And people will realize what truly has value. And so doing all this stuff, and that's what Richard was trying to tell Belen. Belen, don't do it. Don't do it. It's not worth it. These people, they say they respect you, but they don't. I absolutely understand his mind. He's like, the guys, they're just horny. They just want to see you naked. They don't respect you. They say it because it's a con job, right? It's a con job. And we'll put a little green buck in your strap there, and then you'll think, "Oh, I'm so important today." But it's going to wear on you. It's a terrible life. Don't do it. Don't do it. That's what he was saying. You know. And I'm so proud of him for that, because all of our lessons, there it is, wrapped into him burning the money. And he's saying, I rather burn my money than to betray my morals. That's what he was saying. I was so proud of him. Those big booty bitches. That's what he said. Sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that here, but that's what he said. And what he meant by that were these like witches. These witches that want to come in and they want to pollute and they want to destroy and they're up to no good and they don't mean any good to anybody. Not to the children, not to the young women, not to the young men, nobody. They're just out to pollute and take advantage. That's what he meant by that. I'm really confident. And you have to watch that video again. And the very last video was, devastating. Feared for life. That's how vile and vulgar these people are. But we're sick of it. And we're starting to say, okay, I'll throw my body down and make them trip. Because I'm sick of it. What else are they going to do? Right? It's enough. When are we going to say it's enough or not? When are we going to say it's enough? And I think that Command Sergeant Major Jakovitz should have thrown his body down. Not literally, but he should have done it for his soldier. For his soldier. But there's no esprit de corps anymore. And then he could not depend on Jay Paulin throwing his body down for his soldier. Or Michael Roddick throwing his body down for a soldier. He couldn't depend on it. All he thought was, oh, they're just going to call me a POS and laugh at me or whatever. Because there's no esprit de corps. There's no Medal of Honor ethos. There's no leave no soldier behind activity anymore. It's all, this criminal bullying. It's cool to join that group, get my disability check, and then I get this cushy job. Because, and I can say that about him, because absolutely no way how he conducted himself in our son's case and before that, and saying to us that they brought in young girls during the COVID lockdown, no way should he be entrusted with a high position at the VA. Absolutely no way. And this is not me trying to be vindictive. Absolutely no way should he, with his history, just like Leilani Hart, should not have a law enforcement badge. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I know that Jake, for a long time, Jerry Jakovitz, I know he was shaking so bad in front of us. I know why. Because God was trying to shake him to do the right thing. God was trying to do it. And he didn't. And that's why Richard didn't want to be an NCO. He didn't want to get in that mess. And he didn't want to go green to gold. Look at Dallas Hart. He went green to gold. Jeez. I don't want to get in that mess. I'm just going to do my time. Rob goes, just keep your head down. Keep your head down. Get through your time and get out. Get out. Because that's what we wanted in the first place, is for him never to even be in the military. And that is not because we're unsupportive of the military. Rob did 30 years. My father over 20. My father-in-law over 20. It's because the leadership has been captured by this criminal bullies cult. And you're trapped. You're trapped when you become a service member now. Look at what Mealy did. Crimes against humanity. He did crimes against humanity. McConville, crimes against humanity. I'm not just saying it. It happened. We all know it. I went on McDill. I think it was McDill. Yeah. We turned around right away. The atmosphere was so thick of bad vibes. We had to leave. That's why the recruiting is not making their mark. And please pray for the migrants, that they don't recruit these migrants in, that they don't, just because to do that, they don't know what they're getting themselves into. Please pray that they don't take advantage of them. Here they come to this country illegally, which is not right. And then, they think, okay, now we got one over on the American people. We're going to come in illegal. We're going to get our phone. We're going to get our checks, da-da-da-da-da. And then all of a sudden, the next thing they know, they have uniforms strapped on them and guns strapped on them, and they're sent into Iran. Y'all, please pray that doesn't happen. So, because the talk is so thick with the war drums, and I'm just so sick of it. So let me answer any of your questions. Marion Okay, beloved, ma'am, has the United States military ever offered you any assistance to have any therapeutic mental health help? I hope you're taking good care of yourself. I mean, not because, oh, wow, this is a lot. Not because I'm saying you're mentally ill, but how long can you go on with carrying all of this, searching for all of this stuff without pause instead of to live? Live for Richard and keep his name uplifted in positive ways. Don't believe this case is moving because of all of the negativity surrounding it. The United States Army should also be more transparent with parents of AWOL soldiers, possibly leaving the. Richard's not AWOL. Okay, we have confirmed that through the Federal Criminal Database and also from Interpol. Richard is not AWOL. He hasn't been AWOL. He was found and he was designated deceased because if he wasn't, he would be in that federal criminal database. Okay. And we have enough information now to know that. Because of all the negativities. Look, there's a hymn, and the hymn goes, Am I a soldier of the cross? Am I to go to heaven on flowery beds of ease when others have fought and sailed on bloody seas? Am I to look the other way um, and fear to own his name, meaning the cross? It is a hymn that the meaning is exactly what you're saying. You're like, oh, just look the other way, take care of your mental health. No, see, to not do anything would damage my mental health. Okay, we absolutely this the reason why I come. It's almost 1 o'clock here in the morning. The reason why we do this so late is because we live our life, and we've been um, told to come back to El Paso and do our rallies. Um, and we might still do that. But of course, my father got very, very sick and passed away. So for a whole year in all of this, we were taking care of him. We lived our life. So we have enjoyed our family and absolutely helped my parents, and but this cause, my son, um, we made promises to him. We made promises to God. And, so this is a privilege, a privilege to be his mother, to be his advocate, to get his name back, because they smeared him hard, y'all. They smeared him hard. And it has been a privilege to fight these demons that have hurt so many others. Okay? And you're going to see, because this is this same little group, and they hurt so many others. And if we didn't do anything, they would even hurt more. But because we're out here, because we've put them on notice that they were watching, just that we're watching, that they were looking, that we're connecting dots, stops them from doing so much, and even from stealing. It slows down their gravy train quite a bit. And we have institutional help now because of not quitting. And, so I'm very grateful for you to think about us like that and think, yes, this is so hard. It is. It is. It's very, very difficult. But am I to go to heaven on flowery beds of ease? Am I not ever to take a stand in life? Am I supposed to sell out my morality, my the joy of my salvation? The joy of my salvation is to establish justice. That's a joy. Um, when you when you can watch a person, I know my neighbor in Germany. The kids were playing ball out in the street and everything, and she had this beautiful glass ball on this stick in her garden, and the ball hit it and shattered it. And she was like, "Oh, never mind, don't worry about it." No, no, no. Um, we went and we got her two better ones, better ones, and gifted them. And they weren't cheap, these glass balls, decorations for in there. And she was so happy. She was so happy, and she gave the kids bags of gummy bears, and she was so happy. Justice is a beautiful thing. And the kids, you know, they don't have that memory as a bad memory. Oh yeah, do you remember when we broke her thing? They're like, wow, she gave us gummy bears when we paid her back. You know, I mean, it's a good memory. Justice is a beautiful thing, and so no, we are all in. We are all in, and it is hard. But it's becoming very beautiful to see that Dallas Hart. We know that Danae lied. We know that Lydia Rocha, her mother, lied. Um, we know that Dallas lied. We know that Marlon Soto continuously lied to us. We know that the generals lied to us. Lied. Absolutely lied to us. And we know that Park University is involved in this. We know that the JAG is shaking because they know the law. They know that they've broken the law. They know that they were working outside of the law. And so they had to sever communication. But they can't sever it, right? They can't. Um, we know that. We know that they were not forthcoming with the autopsies, still are not forthcoming with the autopsies. And Dr. Raskin Ortez, has to live with that, and it's going to come out one day. And he gets paid way over $400,000 a year. I think he's the highest paid El Paso public servant, right? He's the highest, the medical examiner. Um, it, you know, we know that Anthony Swafford believed what he was trying to tell us. Uh, he believed it, and he didn't care enough in his training, care enough to do the right thing and look into uh, what he was being told. Um, we know that. And we know that the El Paso Police Department, we know the sheriffs, El Paso sheriffs, we know that the Sarasota sheriffs absolutely took a bribe. I believe it was a bribe, $175,000 bribe to do their little dog and pony show that was illegal, breaking our civil rights. to try to scare us by searching our house illegally with an assault unit, full battle gear from the Fugitive Apprehension Unit. We know that. We know that people were watching us while we were rallying and had the answers and did nothing. We know that. We know that some people did something. We know that people worked behind our back to sabotage this case. We know that El Paso Matters absolutely interfered, obstructed justice, and sabotaged our case. Still is. Still is. They should lose every penny they have. And Angela Kucherga should turn in every award that she ever won for what they've done. Because not only did it hurt Team Find Richard Halliday, that it hurt Richard, but the damage done to the trust of the community is unbelievable. Unbelievable. So, no, Richard, absolutely, just that you think he's AWOL is a testament to the evil that the media has done. Because Richard has never been AWOL. Because if he was AWOL, he would right now, at some time, okay, because they did November 24th, they did give him a different designation to us. But for the longest, he was considered a deserter, and they put in the Interpol. But he wasn't. He wasn't a deserter. Because I'm telling you, they knew they had his body. They found his body. Because Judge Robert Shook, we put in 2 open records requests to him about these warrants, about the autopsies, about, the warrants to retrieve the remains from those areas. And what happened? He broke the law. He broke the law, and what did they do? They packed him up and moved him out of Fort Bliss, out of El Paso, out of the area. So, where is the response from our open records request, right? Well, that's coming. That's coming. That we've got information coming in now, and it shows you that you just have to be patient. And do I have a time? And I'll talk about Electra too. I mean, I know it's so late and I've been talking already for so long, but there's so much information. We're moving at 100 miles an hour here, and Electra plays a big part on this. And I might have to eat crow because we're going over what she sent us, and there's more information that I have not released. And Electra, she gave us some information I've not released, and I'm trying to make sense of it. We're trying to brainstorm everything. And the federal government, right, they go to paranormals to aid in missing persons, right, missing remains. They go to them. Now, in our faith, we haven't gone to anybody we shouldn't, but they've come to us. They've shared things with us, and Electra is one of them. And, said that Richard's head was in this certain location out in the desert. And anyway, his torso was his head underneath the arms room. All I know is Thomas Kane, the director of emergency services, the chief of security of Fort Bliss, said that General Eisenhower, Major General Eisenhower, commanding general of Fort Bliss, said he ASAP, I need to rebuild that arms room. ASAP. I don't care what it takes. And we don't have to go through the whole bidding and everything. He was willing to break the law too to rebuild the arms room. And, be it Richard's torso there, Richard's head there, um, the reports we're getting is that his head is still missing. They don't have his head. Now, this is how they make us talk about this stuff. So, anyway, Electra, uh, I don't know. I think that at the time, the way things were going, um, how can you second guess yourself? But I may eat crow and say, wow, I should have listened to her more carefully. So, and these are not negative attacks on people. I have been very kind to these people. Anybody that is hurting young children, trafficking young children, trafficking, young people, screwing the American people over by selling the equipment and weapons, bringing in fentanyl and other drugs into the barracks and letting it happen and letting it be a marketplace for illegal drugs, and then letting the barracks be flush with weapons while, and then making it co-ed, so you have rapes happen and sexual harassment being the norm. And then you have all of these um, PTSDs, people that just they've had enough of it. They're they get depressed, and then you have the suicide, and more, and then they're expected to go and fight wars and get their legs blown off or whatever, right? Or whatever. Let's go to Ukraine or let's go to Iran and fight the Russians or whatever. Um, you know, I've been very kind to these bullies, and I think there's other words that are much harsher. These seasoned bullies, warmonger bullies that, so, and with Jay Paulin and Michael Ruggiero and Captain Park, and I've been so kind to them. They are, um, if I call them scum, that's kind, okay? That's kind. So, the damage that they have done is enormous. And for any captain that is a West Pointer to write the letter like he wrote, sorry, to say scum is a nice thing. Is nice. It's being light. It's being, yeah, insult light. Maybe I need to go and view my insult um, manufacturer, my insult creator, Martin Luther, the great reformist, Martin Luther, who translated the Bible into German, the New Testament into German. He has a insult creator. He knew how to insult people really well. Who deserved it? Who deserved it? Who's going to have oversight? Who is going to call these people out that do these awful, awful criminal acts? Who's going to call them out? We have to call them out. And so I don't think I'm being mean. I think I'm calling the criminals out. I'm sick of it. Look at what they did. Look at what they're doing. Before more of our service members are misused and abused, fraud, waste, and abuse, I'm calling them out. And I hope that you will too. See something, say something. That's what they've always said. See something, say something. I'm just doing what they've always told me to do. If you see something, say something. We don't want fraud, waste, and abuse. I'm just reporting it. And I hope that you will too. And I hope that you will sign the petition for the soldier there, the very brave soldier there, active duty on Fort Bliss, that has put in for a congressional inquiry that includes our son's case. There's more to it, but it includes our son's case, and the big part of it is that he's reporting JAG for not responding to fraud, waste, and abuse. And so that's a biggie. That's a biggie. So I hope that you sign the petition to support him, and then do more. Campaign to sign the petition. We need to do that. So I will end there, and thank you so much. And thank you for your comment. I'll read it finished. Um, yes. Oh yeah. He's code redded. Richard was code redded. Yeah. Um, yeah, exactly, Danielle. Oh, we have put in so many FOIAs. Oh yeah, there's so many laws broken. So yes, thank you for pointing that out. Okay, I'm reading through all of your statements. Thank you so much, and I will. Um, yeah, the that Pearl Mercedes, that Pearl Mercedes got a lot of attention because you're everyone knows what everyone drives, especially in high school, especially if you're a football player. I grew up in Temple, Texas. I knew in that big parking lot at Temple High School, the Wildcats, I knew what people drove, especially if they're a football player. I knew. So yeah, the Pearl Mercedes is a big deal. So thank you so much, and God bless you. And I will be back tomorrow.